Happy Thursday, Flosstube. Hello, crafty friends. My name's Caroline. Welcome back, Daily Crafty Chat. And how's everybody doing today? I hope you're well. I have something kind of fun to share with you today. I've been, it's been a really full day. We've got most of the bat cut for, well, for the next couple of days anyways. Batting for the bags is cut. And I've been working on scanning up some floss tags. I include a little skein of floss. Those of you who have received your holiday packages know this already, and there have been a few pictures posted, so I'm not really giving away a spoiler. If you ordered a holiday kit, there will be a little skein of floss coming in there with it. And I was scanning up the floss today, and I thought it might be a fun thing to share with you because it's one of those things. I'm using a tool that knitters and people who work with yarn would know, but maybe not necessarily cross stitchers. And it's a very inexpensive tool. It's very useful, but I'll get to that in just a minute. Let me share my stitching with you first. Okay, so I did do a little bit of unpacking last night. I didn't finish because I decided that I would rather take the time and do a little bit of stitching. So I did some, but I have more to finish, and I'm just gonna pick away at it, and I'll be done by the end of this weekend, fully unpacked. But I figured that I deserved just a little bit of stitching relaxation time last night, so that's what I did. And I worked on two projects, both actually that I shared with you yesterday. My Jeannette Douglas Blooming Bouquet, number 4, beautiful. And I finished the 3rd flower. So that 3rd flower there in the border is now completely finished. Coming along slow and steady, and that really probably only took me about half an hour. That was about it, because I couldn't stop thinking about the teeny tiny 1/1. I really couldn't. So the mitten, I pulled it out, so I just couldn't resist. So I worked on my mitten last night. And look what I got done. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but it is so tiny that it is actually a fair bit. Both of the 2 middle mountain peaks are finished. There's only one more. There's a 3rd mountain peak over here. I have to finish that. There's a little bit more of the gray fill-in to finish, but not a lot. And then that bottom section will be complete. I finished a couple of the little snowflakes in the middle. And because this is 1/1 on a 28 count linen, it is tiny. Now it's not 1/1 on 56 count linen, but for me, this is pretty darn small. And it is so sweet. I love it. And there are still a couple of mitten charts left in the shop, but we did, a few of you agreed with me that this chart was well worth stitching, and you snapped up your own copy. So I'm looking forward to seeing your own versions of the mitten pattern. But it's so sweet. And working that teeny tiny little X was very satisfying. So I know a lot of people, I do say this, but not everybody hears every word that I say. I take my glasses off when I stitch small, because the way that my vision is, it's my superpower. When I take my glasses off, I can see and read things that are very, very, very tiny, as long as I'm holding it fairly close to my face. So as I get older, that's simply how I now stitch. I take my glasses off, and I hold the stitching either in the frame or in my lap frame or on the Lowry, and I just put my face closer to the stitching and I can see it. So this I don't need I don't need magnifiers. I don't need anything. I just take my glasses off and I can see it perfectly. So it's actually a really nice, it's a nice little perk of having really terrible eyes. Really terrible eyes, because when I take them off, if I'm not looking at something, you know, this close to my face, I can't see anything. So it's a running joke in our house, where if my glasses are not on and John is either standing beside me or across the room, either if I'm stitching or first thing in the morning, and he'll be standing close to me and he'll say, or I'll say, "Are you looking at me?" He'll laugh. Are you smiling at me? Are you looking at me? And he laughs and says, "Yes, I'm looking at you," because I can't see him. I can't see what he's looking at. I don't know what he's looking at. So it's quite funny. But isn't that sweet? I love it so much. And you know, that wasn't a whole lot of time. So where has this been for the last 2 years? Now I'm super excited to stitch it and work on it. I love it. It's so cute. So maybe it'll hang on my tree this year. Who knows? Okay, so winding floss. So I purchased the cones of, hang on a sec, I'll have to go get it. So I thought I would just show you what I've been doing with the floss. So this is DMC 498, and I bought a number of cones. I also bought 8.95. These are two of my favorite Christmas colors. I love these. I love this red and I love that green. So I thought it would be nice to put the greens I've been putting with the russet bags, and the red I've been putting with the blue bag, the navy partridge. So I purchased it as cones, and then I thought, okay, how am I going to, you know, do this easily so that it's not going to get tangled, so that it's not going to take too much time, because I need to do a fair number of them. So I wanted it to be something that was fairly, you know, not too quick, but you know what I mean. You don't want to take hours and hours and hours. So I remembered I'd been having a conversation with Carrie of Leo and Roxy Yarn, and we were talking about, she was talking about scanning up some floss, and she said, oh, I could just use my Nitty Naughty. And so we had that conversation, and then I sort of, filed it away, and it was just part of, you know how you have those conversations where, it's a little tidbit of information that sits there, and then all of a sudden when you really need it, it pops to the front and you're like, oh, I could do that. So I literally spent an hour trying to figure out how to skein up this floss, because I was trying to measure it out on the cutting mat and, cut a certain length and wrap it around neatly, and it just wasn't working, and it was making a big mess, and nothing was neat and tidy, and I was really frustrated, and I thought, this is not working. And then all of a sudden I heard Carrie's voice say, I'm gonna use my Nitty Naughty, and I thought, oh, I have one of those, because when Sarah was, I don't know, 9 or 10, my sister-in-law, Kathy, started learning how to drop spindle. And what drop spindling is, it's basically spinning yarn using a small wooden spinning top with a really long little stick attached to it and a hook at the end. And Sarah really took to it. And so Sarah was really enjoying learning how to drop spindle. And so I took her to a local shop that's just north of me here in the city called the Wagon Shed. And I think they're still open. I'm not exactly sure. It's a very small business. She has a barn that's on her own personal property, and it's a shop, but it's been a few years since I've been there, so I'm not actually sure that she's still open. I want to say her name was Cassie, the owner of the Wagon Shed in Arva, Ontario. And so I took Sarah up to the wagon shed and I let her choose a drop spindle and some very special wool roving. And then it was Cassie at the shop who suggested also buying a nitty knotty, which is this tool that I've been hanging on to right here. So this is a handmade one. They just look like little dowels. That's all they are. And this, it comes apart. So you can take all the pieces here come apart. I did check on Etsy. There are a whole pile of these available, excuse me, for sale. Some, you know, handmade, some plastic ones. They're not very expensive. So if you think that maybe this is something that you would be doing a lot of in the future for little Christmas gifts, you know, if you have a whole list of stitchers on your Christmas card list and you want to send them each a little something in the card that, you know, isn't overly expensive and you know, doesn't weigh a lot, this is maybe, you know, something that you might want to try. So it's called a nitty knotty, N-I-D-D-Y, 2 words, and then the second word is knotty, N-O-D-D-Y. And this is 18 inches. So each wrap of the thread is 18 inches from end to end. Okay, so then I've got covered in sewing threads, pardon me. I had some cardstock, so I use I just bought these from Michael's years ago. This is a card punch. Now mine is in both inches and centimeters, so it's what does that say? What on earth does that say? It's like 211-16 inch. That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand this. 6.83 centimeter. That I understand. Their placement is off on that. That's very strange. Sorry. Anyways, that's the size of the card punch. And then I use a 5/8 of an inch, 1.59 centimeter circle punch to punch the hole in the center. So that's all. So there's your floss card. And then you take your spool of thread and your nitty knotty. And then now normally I'm standing up when I do this, so hopefully I won't knock the thing off onto the ground. So you hold the top part of the thread, the end of the thread, with your thumb at the top of the nitty knotty, and then you just wrap it around. So that's one wrap, and then you just keep wrapping it in circles until you have enough. Hang on a second. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And then, of course, there are my scissors. Clip at the top where it matches where you started. Now here's the trick. So you can see, and these, when you use it for yarn, it's you can do a figure 8 by twisting it that way, but I don't want to twist it for my floss. So I take the other end that doesn't have the cut ends, I slip that off, keeping my thumb in the middle of the loop, fold the loop in half, use my thumb to keep the bottom of it even. Okay, so now did you see what I did? I think so. So if I open this back up again, here's the giant loop that came off the nitty knotty. Okay, take your hand in the middle, fold that big loop in half, and then I even it up. The 2 loops at the bottom now are together, and then 1 loop at the top. Take that big loop that's at the top, then you're going to stick that through your card, through the hole in your card, take that up, open up the loop, see how this is in there now? Pull that through the middle. Okay, so that's how it looks now. And then tighten it up, and you have your floss on a card, and that's it. And then you can write a nice little note on it. And it's ready to go. And you can tuck it into a card for a Christmas present. So I don't know, maybe somebody will find that vaguely useful, hopefully. But if not, well, that was the crafting that I was up to today. I made a whole pile of them. So they're all ready to go. And I finished the charms, the zipper pull charms. I finished making those today too. So those are done. And all of the bat is now cut. I've ironed the main pieces. So I'm ready to get back to sewing tomorrow. More sewing. So I think that is it for me today. I have to teach a flute lesson tonight. Normally I teach this student on Tuesday via video conferencing, but we both had conflicts on Tuesday, so we've rescheduled. So I have that in about an hour. So I'll get this video up and then make myself a coffee and spend an hour with my flute student. Haven't decided what we're gonna do for dinner yet tonight. I told Sarah that I was hoping that something would magically appear on the porch, delivered to the house. We'll see if that happens. Anyways, I hope you're well. I hope you're safe, and I hope you've had a good day, and that you have a few moments tonight for some stitching for yourself. And I will see you again tomorrow. It's Friday already tomorrow. We're almost there. One more day. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Happy stitching, and I'll see you tomorrow.